Video going here. Open the mic. All righty, open your mic. Mic. Green light on. Open the mic. Open the mic, be careful. It's an open mic. Be careful what you say. Okay, ready to go? Open the mic. Open the mic, be careful. It's an open mic. Be careful what you say.
Adelaide.
You know what? I've heard it before, but I can't answer your question. For the record, not as wild as you were.
I was in the Northeast.
Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Hialeah Planning and Zoning Board meeting for Wednesday, April 13, 2022. Everyone, please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord, we ask that you grant us the wisdom and the guidance tonight so that we can go through these items in front of us, make the right decisions for those involved and for the city. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May you be seated.
Meeting guidelines. The following guidelines apply to today's Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard. All lobbyists must register with the Planning and Zoning Board prior to item being heard. A maximum of 4 speakers in favor and 4 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Board on any item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Item number 1, roll call. Mr. D. Perez?
Here.
Mr. Ramon?
Here.
Mr. Iglesias?
Here.
Mr. Jimenez?
Here.
Mr. Ulloa?
Here.
Mr. Casanova? Is absent. Mrs. Henriquez? Here. We have a quorum.
Did you get a hold of him this morning or?
He said maybe his father's in the hospital.
Oh,
Item number 2, approval of Planning and Zoning Board summary agenda of March 23rd, 2022, as submitted.
need a motion, please?
Motion. Second that motion?
Motion, Mr. Ulloa, second, Mr. Iglesias. Mr. Ramon?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Item has been approved. Administration of oath to all applicants and anyone who will be speaking before the board on any item.
Anyone that will be speaking in front of the board, please stand, raise your right hand. Todas las personas que van a prestar testamento, pónganse de pie para que juren. And that includes anyone in the electronic audience. Do we have people waiting? No? Okay. Let it rip.
Affirm to tell the truth for this board.
Okay. Thank you. Let the record show it was a resounding yes.
A written decision or resolution will be prepared and presented for review to the City Council. The City Council is authorized to affirm with conditions, or override the decisions by resolution. After the resolution is adopted, contact a member of the City Clerk's office to obtain a copy of the final decision and resolution. Upon your receipt of the final decision and resolution, contact the building department to obtain your required building permit. Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of the proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at its scheduled meeting of Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. Item 3, final decision to allow interior north side setback of 6.1 feet or 7.5 feet are required for an existing terrace to be legalized. Property located at 5958 West 13th Court, Hialeah zoned R1, one family district. Applicant, Felipe Perez.
Hi, name and address, please.
My name is Elisa Garcia, 488 Palm Avenue. I have a power of attorney on file, but I brought a copy just in case my client will not be present tonight. They have a health issue.
Okay, do you need to, that need to be in the record, or?
She needs also a lobbyist permit. Yes.
I'm gonna need a copy of that because I don't have that on record. Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry, it's the form after, so you can fill a lobbyist.
Yeah, don't, when we're done with this, just kind of like stick around, because we got one more paper for you to fill out. I'm sorry, you did say your name and address and all that.
Elisa Garcia, 488 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, 33010.
Thank you.
The property in this application is a single-family home located on the west side of West 13th Court, south of West 60th Street. The property has an open code enforcement case for building without permit. Permits were submitted to correct the violation, but could not be approved since a terrace to be legalized is encroaching into the north side setback. As a result, the applicant is before the city requesting a final decision to allow 6.09 feet north side setback where 7.5 feet are required. The setback reduction is minimal and could be approved with the condition that the terrace remains open on its three sides. The recommendation is to approve with condition.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
No?
I have a
Thank you.
question. What are the conditions?
That the terrace remains open on three sides.
Oh, okay.
And we agree.
In other words, they can't enclose it and make
Like a storage.
their own little,
Or another room or whatever.
okay.
Or a
Comments or
kitchen.
questions from the board? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? Well, this is a public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second that motion?
With conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so motion, Mr. Ramon, second, Mr. Iglesias. Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Ramon?
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Thank you.
If you don't mind just sticking around for a little
I
bit.
have another case.
She has, oh, you have another case? Okay, she has to give you a form to fill out, and thank you.
Item number 4, final decision to allow street side setback of 3 feet where 15 feet are required for existing terrace to be legalized. Property located at 2692 West 8th Lane, Hialeah zoned R1, one family district. Applicant, David I. Oliva and Isabel Oliva.
Well, that didn't take long. Okay, you know the drill.
Isabel Oliva, 2692 West, 8 Lane, Hialeah, Florida, 33010.
Thank you. Are you going to represent them, or, okay, we're going to need your name also.
Elisa Garcia, 488 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, 33010.
Thank you.
The property in this application is a corner lot located at the southwest intersection of West 8th Lane and West 27th Street. The site is improved with a single-family home that was originally built in 1962 with a small 76 square feet addition built in 1973. The property has an open code case for building without permit, specifically for the aluminum roofs. In comparing the submitted plans with city records, it was observed that 2 aluminum roofs were built without a permit on the north and west sides of the house. A carport was enclosed without permits, and the kitchen was relocated also without permit. To be able to legalize the 661 square feet roof on the north side of the house and adjacent to West 27th Street, The applicant is requesting an adjustment of the street side setback to 3 feet where 15 feet are required. Since the house already has 260 square feet on its west side that will also be legalized, staff recommends to reduce the 661 square feet roof by 261 square feet so that the north side terrace could be considered a carport, and in that case, no adjustment will be required. The request as submitted shall be denied since there is no hardship that would justify such a significant adjustment when the house may have a perfectly functional outdoor area on a 660 square feet area, including the existing 260 square feet terrace at the west and the terrace with its area reduced to 400 square feet at the north side, which is the street side. It is important to point out that the applicant will need to legalize not only the terraces, but also the enclosed carport and relocated kitchen. The recommendation is denial.
Thank you. Do they need translation or?
No, I'll speak on their behalf. I need a special request for this property. This property is located right next to a park. They've had the roof indented a couple of times, and there's no way to find a secure area. They don't even enjoy their pool. They have kids, their kids don't go to the pool. And that park is on, the balls are in their yard. As a special request, I was trying to see if some point they could keep at least that roof. And if you have the violations pictures, I don't know if there's pictures here. Unfortunately, my printer is not working today. I couldn't bring it to you. They have a barrier which they created themselves on the side of that roof to keep the balls from coming in because it's about this
Well, but
wide.
what I'm saying is keep that terrace, but make it smaller. And if they have a problem with the balls, they can screen that terrace. And with that, they don't have any problem with any balls. Just to a
Reducing
screen
that,
patio.
reducing that roof, aluminum roof is just for demolishing it.
No, it's not demolishing it.
Aluminum roof?
The way that the aluminum roofs are done, they are done in parts and they have different columns. So maybe it's removing one of the sections, they still need to, by removing one of the sections and one of the columns, they can keep the rest and they can still have a functional terrace on 400 square feet.
You have the floor
And
plan
then
there?
Yes, I have it.
What area would you like for them to remove? See, but the panels are not running,
What I'm saying
they're running this
is,
way.
inst-
So those panels,
instead,
you can't cut 'em.
instead of having these large,
The panels run this way. They're attached to here. That aluminum roof has been there for quite some time.
Well,
If
the-
you touch
the-
that roof, might as well throw it out.
yeah.
Hmm?
If the panels go this way,
They're attached to this wall right
well,
here.
Right.
Yeah, but
So the panels run.
you remove
like
the
this.
panels from this column to this column. You remove this and
I can keep these here and just remove this here.
remove whatever you want, but you need to have no more than 400 square feet. Maybe you remove the panels here and the panels here. You decide where
Okay,
you
I
remove.
understand.
But if you
Can we keep it as close as possible to here? Because
if you keep it at 400 square feet,
I
it's
could do-
considered a carport, and the required setback is 2 feet. So keep it at 400 square feet, and we dismiss this, and you don't need any variance.
if I remove here, I can keep all of this here and I don't have to come to a variance.
Exactly. Because if you have 400 square feet, it's considered a carport, and you don't need that adjustment on the side.
Let them
So
decide. Can I
maybe
check
they
the-
decide a little bit here and a little bit here. They decide
I-
however they want.
the
They want
coverage in
this
the
because it's
back
the
because they can't
continuation.
enjoy the-
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've been there on a ball day.
Those,
scary.
those panels, they're usually interlocked with each other. So if you remove them from
Oh, no,
the
I
wall.
understand.
yeah.
If we remove this section here, it's fine.
One
It's
at-
just not
one at a
shortening
time.
it. We can cut it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, tongue and groove.
It's
Yeah.
not shortening like this.
It's cutting
It's
in this
making
way.
it
Right.
like this,
I
so you
remove
have
that.
the
I got it,
600
yeah.
square
Yeah,
feet.
not widthwise, but lengthwise. So you actually physically
And
remove
these
panels.
are all the things that when I reviewed the microfilms, this kitchen has no permits because it was somewhere else. This enclosure has no permit. This is an addition that has permits, and this bathroom also.
I have a question.
Yes.
And I know this question doesn't pertain to this panel, maybe something that I have to take care to the building department. They purchased this property like this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, I understand. I understand that they have to legalize it. I'm just trying to bring an attention to this board because it's something that I would like all you professionals to see if we can help owners in Hialeah have more confidence investing in their money in Hialeah. Because everybody's afraid to purchase any property now in Hialeah because they're gonna get hit with the fines of something that someone else built.
You
If I-
should bring, I agree with you 100%. You should bring that to the decision makers that are the council members.
Okay.
Because, yeah, we do the reoccupancy is only to see if the units, but it should be a thorough review. But their interest in many, and on the other sides and the realtors and all that, so they have to come up with that.
A type of
decision.
solution.
Yeah.
All right.
You can take this and
Let me
this
show it to
them.
them and let them make a-
Okay. As they're doing a little sidebar there, is there any comment or questions from the board?
So if I understand correctly, the carport like overlaps the house?
No, no.
Yo estoy
Let me
diciéndole a ellos
explain.
que
Let
lo
me go
eliminen
there.
aquí. En esta área tú no tienes función, pero tú tienes función en
The
esta área
carport,
para que por lo menos tengas alguna protección cuando venga el parque, eliminar aquí lo que tengas que eliminar y dejarlo a mitad de
This
la casa
has
para atrás.
like
para que te
660.
coincide
So
con
what
este
I'm
pedazo.
saying is
Si
shorten
te
it
corto aquí,
here,
no vas a tener
maybe
protección
remove
de
the
acá.
panels here, make it 400 square feet, and
Si
the
te
setback
corto esto aquí,
requirement
se va a ver
for
un
a carport
poquito
is only 4
raro
feet, so they don't need to ask
el
for any
diseño de tu
adjustment.
casa, pero
but
estamos
the house
buscando
ends here or
protección.
The
Si este es el
house
frente de
ends
tu
here,
casa.
and this is a terrace. They have a
Exacto.
terrace that goes all
Oh,
around.
so it
That's
wraps
why I'm
around.
saying there's
Hay
no
que
hardship
reducirlo a
because they
400
already
pies.
a terrace here, a terrace
So
here,
then just
so
No, mi
cut
amor.
a little
just
bit
up
here
there.
to make
Esta
this
área
make it
carport.
completa
400 square feet,
tiene
this
que
carport,
reducirse a
and then the-
400.
Just reduce the site for 200 something
Okay.
feet and that's it.
We
Si
still-
no es así, ellos te dicen
we still
aprobado ahora
deny.
mismo, no tienes que hacer más nada.
They agree to that, they don't need anything else.
What is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I already showed it to him on the plans, more or less where they're gonna have to cut.
Not cut, remove.
Remove.
There's a difference.
¿Está bien? Entonces te están diciendo que no hay permisos para esta sección, no hay permiso para
You
la
got what
cocina,
she's-
que ya lo estamos
what she was saying
legalizando.
now? And those
Y en
panels,
esta sección,
they're,
esta fue la
Yeah, what
decisión del
confused me is that it ran like
Este está
further
bien
than the
aquí,
house.
pero
but
esto
now
aquí
I
no tiene
understand
permiso y
because
esto no
there's
tiene
no
permiso.
right, but she was
Del
thinking that
family
she
que
had
todo es
to
un
cut
garaje
this way.
que se encerró,
No, she just has
no
to
hay
remove
permiso para
just a
eso.
few slabs.
No
and that's
existe
it.
permiso para eso, pero eso nosotros podemos arreglar e incluirlo. Y esto que ya lo estamos haciendo. Sí, agree.
So if they agree, we have to withdraw the case. Yeah.
Okay, dude,
What happens in those cases when they don't have to go to hearing? Is there a refund on the funds that they paid for the hearing or no?
Well, we already did everything.
I know.
Because we wrote a recommendation. We have now a process that is called a pre-application meeting.
Perfect.
And we charge for that pre-application meeting.
I'm
So
not afraid for that. I wanna
if
see
you
it
come,
happens.
we look at everything in detail and we give you the recommendation. So in that way, you don't need to come to this.
I understand.
And you don't need to prepare them. You still pay, but you don't need to prepare the radius maps and it can be
Yeah,
simpler. Yeah.
Costs a lot to do this package. Perfect.
okay, so let's regroup here. They understand what the options are.
Yes.
They're very favorable to them. And for just minor effort,
Details that they have to change.
right? So do they agree with
Que si están de acuerdo con removerlo y disminuir esa área a la área que están pidiendo ellos para el techo.
okay? Okay,
So come pick up the plans, revise the plans and resubmit them and then there shouldn't be any problem.
okay, let's do this the proper way. Any comments or questions from the board on this particular item? Even though it's trending to be canceled or withdrawn or
We're going to
something?
withdraw.
Any comments or questions? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? Anyone in the electronic audience? Okay, good. We're closest to part of the public hearing. So should we motion to withdraw or should we just withdraw it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the man says your item has been withdrawn. Just do what you need to do, and we're good.
All right, thank you.
Can I
Okay.
keep that for my records?
Yes.
If you want a copy, come tomorrow and we'll give you a copy back.
Yeah, hold on, let me give it to you before you.
But I'll give these to Alejandro, so when he reviews the plans, you know.
Yeah, bring it tomorrow, please. Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
You too.
All right, you too.
Okay, item number 5. Final decision to allow interior east side setback of 3.13 feet where 5 feet 1 inch is the minimum required for existing storage to be legalized. Property located at 517 East 10th Street, Hialeah zoned R1, 1 family district. Applicant, Osiris Machado, Ana L. Valdez, and Eileen Machado.
They need to be sworn in because they didn't.
Okay. I didn't see them, but raise your right hand, please.
Español.
Okay.
Bueno,
Levanta mano derecha, por favor. ¿Ustedes juran que van a decir la verdad, solamente la verdad, frente de esta junta? Gracias. Nombre y dirección.
Ana L. Valdés, 517 East, 10 Street, 23010.
Ella va a leerle su aplicación en inglés, después se lo va a traducir y la transacción va a ser en inglés y en español, así que, ¿ok? Un poquito para allá, un poquito para acá. Bien.
the property in this application is located on the north side of East 10th Street, east of East Fifth Avenue. The site is improved with a single-family home built in 1963 with a 480 square feet addition on its east side and rear terrace and has an open code enforcement case for building without permit. The 480 square feet addition was built with an encroachment on the east side setback, leaving only a 3.13 feet side setback where 5 feet 1 inch are required. Since reduced side setbacks impact the adjacent property with increased noise and reduced privacy, a mitigation factor shall be incorporated in order to reduce such impact. The reduced setback could be approved. However, a 6 feet concrete wall shall be erected on the east side property line to protect the privacy of the adjacent home to the east. Recommendation, approved with condition. Ahora lo voy a traducir. La propiedad en esta aplicación está ubicada en el lado norte de la calle 10 del Este, al este de la Quinta Avenida del Este. El sitio está mejorado con una vivienda unifamiliar construida en 1963 con una adición de 480 pies cuadrados en su lado este y una terraza en la parte posterior. Y tiene un caso de Code Enforcement abierto por construir sin permiso. La adición de 480 pies cuadrados fue construida invadiendo el retiro obligatorio en el lado este, dejando solamente un retiro de 3.13 pies, donde 5 pies, 1 pulgada son requeridos. Como los retiros reducidos impactan a las propiedades adyacentes con más ruido y menos privacidad, esta situación se debe mitigar de alguna manera y hay que incorporar algún tipo de solución para reducir ese impacto. Este retiro reducido se puede aprobar. Sin embargo, la recomendación es que se construya una pared de concreto o de concreto prefabricado de 6 pies en la propiedad, en la línea de propiedad del este para proteger la privacidad de la vivienda adyacente hacia el este. La recomendación es aprobar con estas condiciones.
Okay. How big, how long of the fence? ¿De qué largo debe ser qué distancia debe ser la pared? 6
No,
feet
6
high.
feet is the height, but let me look at the plans.
Just want to make sure that they understand it. Ok, ella está chequeando ahora porque le están pidiendo que construya una pared de concreto o concreto fabricado de 6 pies de alto. pero qué largo. Eso es lo que están
Like
mirando.
60 feet, around 60 feet.
So that's gonna be the length of the lot?
The
or
length of the house,
Of the house?
yes.
Ok.
¿Habría que construir la pared?
En,
Mira, le voy a mostrar acá en un dibujo.
venga para acá.
Este es el lado de la casa que solo tiene 3 pies. Entonces, de acá hasta acá tendrán que construir una pared de 3 pies, que puede ser una pared de bloques de concreto o puede ser esas que ya vienen prefabricadas, que vienen las columnas y vienen los paneles de concreto. Y entonces de esa manera, bueno, protegemos la privacidad.
De 6 pies de alto
6 pies de alto.
por el largo
por
de...
el si
60
quiere,
pies.
puede hacer
60.
todo el terreno. No, el costado de la casa, donde tiene las cosas que tiene que legalizar, desde donde empieza la casa hasta donde termina la casa, si usted quiere hacer todo, puede hacer todo. Eso usted decide. Antes de hacer los planos de esto, venga a vernos porque acá los primeros 10 pies no pueden tener 6, tienen que tener
4. 4.
no tienen que tener 3,5 y una parte del 75% de transparencia. Si viene a la oficina, le explicamos toda la tecnicalidad. Bueno, mañana, si quiere, a la mañana misma. Bueno, muy
Ok,
bien.
regresa ahí de nuevo. Ok, ¿entendieron la explicación que le hizo? Okay, so they understand their conditions. Comments or questions from the board?
A quick comment. Does it have to be concrete? Can it be metal? Or
No, has to be concrete
because of the noise?
because of the noise, yes. Concrete is permanent.
The advantage is that she's given them the option of either brick wall or prefabricated, you know, the slats, right?
No, well, it's not, so they are panels.
The panels,
Kind of,
correct, right, right.
integrated with each other.
Yes.
Right, right. So it'd be up to them to see what will be more cost efficient being, you know, brick by brick or
No,
the
they
panels.
agree, they like the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
More privacy for them too.
Any more comments or questions? Anyone in the audience, comment or questions? Ok, él estaba preguntando de que lo mismo que le explicó ahora, qué tipo de pared, qué altura, de qué largo, si tiene que ser de concreto, si puede ser de madera, pero no debe ser concreto, ya sea bloques o paneles prefabricados de concreto. Y otra cosa muy importante que ella les dijo, chequeen con ellos porque los
Primeros 10 pies.
primeros 10 pies, desde, por ejemplo, desde la acera adentro, los primeros 10 pies no pueden ser más de 4 pies de alto o 3,5.
Son 3,5 y después sí lo puedo subir hasta 6, pero tiene que ser con algo
Sí,
transparente. Está bien, bueno.
Pero sí,
mañana vemos.
sí. Si usted elige,
Don't worry, tomorrow we look at the details
Okay.
with Google and everything.
si usted elige construirla toda, tiene que, la primera son más pequeñas. La razón es para cuando vaya saliendo del driveway, que pueda mirar, asegurarse que no venga una persona caminando por la acera o un carro o algo. Es por seguridad. ¿Entienden? All right. Basically explaining what the requirements are for the first 10 feet at 3 feet. And that's mainly because of safety for pedestrians and other oncoming cars and whatnot. So in case you didn't know, now you know. Okay. Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? We have a motion.
Second with conditions.
Okay, so motion. Motion, Mr. Jimenez, second, Mr. Ulloa. Mr. DePras?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. Ramon?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Okay.
Venga mañana a mi oficina, le aprobaron el caso, pero además de venir mañana, el 10 de mayo, tiene que venir acá a otra reunión que los concejales van a votar en el caso.
Pero para cualquier detallito eso, mañana hable con ella y ella se lo...
¿Y eso también está desde el 10 de mayo?
No, no,
No,
no.
no, no, no. No, no.
Mr. Chair, did you ask the folks in the electronic audience about this? I don't remember hearing it.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's electronic and physical, and Is there anyone in the electronic audience or?
No,
No.
nobody.
Okay, nobody's registered, so. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Buenas
Bueno,
noches.
buenas noches.
No.
The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at its scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April 26, 2022. Item number 6, variance permit to allow the replatting of the property into 2 substandard lots. Lot 1 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area of 5,399.87 square feet, where 75 feet and 7,500 square feet are required. And Lot 2 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area of 5,399.91 square feet, where 75 feet and 7,500 square feet are required. Once platted, allowed the construction of a single-family house on each platted substandard lot. Property located at 1140 West 32nd Street, Hialeah, zone R1, one-family district. Applicant, Sunier Arzola.
Suniel Arzola, can we identify you?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Frank De La Paz, 9361 Burr Road. This is the second step of the waiver of plat that was approved last meeting.
Thank you. Take a second.
The property in this application is located on the south side of West 32nd Street, in the middle of the block between West 12th Avenue and West 11th Avenue. The property is currently improved with a single-family home built in 1952 on an 80 feet by 135 feet parcel of land, consistent with the use and lot dimensions in the area. The south side of West 32nd Street, where the property is located, is all improved with single-family homes, despite the R2 zoning of the 4 lots on the west side of the block. All those lots have frontages ranging between 60 and 70 feet, while all the lots on the north side of West 32nd Street have 60 feet frontages. The applicant is before the city with a variance request to allow the replatting of the property into 2 substandard lots with frontage of 40 feet. In recommending approval of replatting into substandard lots, the size of the lots in the immediate area is considered, and when substandard lots of similar size are existing, those substandard lots will be considered consistent with the area. In this particular case, the site is located within a neighborhood of single-family homes that sit on lots with no less than 60 feet frontage. The proposed partition of the lot into 2 40-feet lots is not consistent with the area. As much as the city supports redevelopment and construction of smaller units or redevelopment on substandard lots, single-family homes on large lots are still a desirable condition that the city shall preserve where it exists. The petition to replat the subject property into 2 substandard lots and build a house on each substandard lot shall be denied. Recommendation denial.
Recommendation denial. Frank?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good
Originally, this property was platted as 40-foot lots. That was the original plat when it was added to Hialeah back in 2025. And then we had the hurricane of 26 that sent everything tumbling down. And then in 2018, it was replatted again to the current plat, which was to make the property back again into acreage because there was no longer a land boom in South Florida. Not that I was here, but I was almost there. And that way people could have their cows and farms with agricultural exemption. And then after the war,
Okay, that was the real person.
and after the war, they start developing again. And if you look at the latest plat on that area, you see that everybody start developing on different sites because it's depending what they bought. That's what you ended up, and the city was allowing it without having to replat for many, many years. And that's how the neighborhood got built. And this parcel was improved with a about 800 square feet cardboard box. I'm not going to call it a craftsman house on Sears because it might trigger somebody to call it historic. And, it will be worse. But that's about what it is. It's a little cardboard box that it sits there. When we presented this idea to redevelop the property, we considered the properties to the west that have zoning of duplex, just to build a duplex together on a big lot. But the city told us, well, even though they have abutting your property, you have a duplex zoning. We don't want them to not to find out, but start, triggering a down effect of having duplexes throughout the neighborhood. So the alternative was too modern with no variance whatsoever as to setback size or anything. Single family house like we have built in other areas of the city. And it's not for the speculation, it's for Mr. Suniel Arzola. He's a construction worker and he wants to build something for the future for himself. We already presented a tentative plat to divide the property into two, which was heard by this board and approved as a tentative plat, which is now working its way through the county.
Well, but the condition was that you first should come here and get the variance approved. That was the comment on the planning unit.
But I have yet to take it to the county because I wait for this hearing. We got a tentative plat with the intention on dividing the property in two, not to give it a new legal description that we did not need if we were to build just one house. So we submitted on the good faith. We'll have a tentative plat, divide the property into those two size lots, which is basically what was there before on the prior plat. And then we start this process to get the variances to be able to build one house in each lot. I definitely would like to have your recommendation of approval if possible. If not, we'll continue down the pipeline until we exhaust all our remedies available. You hear a lot of people saying, well, we need new houses, this and that. And yes, you need new houses, and it would be nice to build a nice big lot on a oversized parcel on the west side of Hialeah. But this is not the northwest side of Hialeah, north of 68th Street. The economics will not be there. The alternative is to continue to have a 800 cardboard box, which the numbers don't make sense to tear it down and rebuild. That's reality. So with that, I'll take anything that you say. I will answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Frank. Deborah, clarify this, please. This particular application is for a lot that's 40 foot wide.
The lot is 80 foot wide, and they want to partition it and make two 40-foot lots in a place where, as you see, all around are large lots. So if you start with this, you create the precedent, and then the whole block will do, instead of having these large lots, where maybe, yes, there is an old house now, but it's an opportunity to have a nice big house because there are still families that live here. And many times, since they have small lots, they have to come here and ask for variances. If you have a standard lot or a little bit bigger than this one, you don't need those variances. You can build your house, your pool, your terrace, whatever you want. So many times I am in favor of partitioning the lots because the partition is consistent with the area, but in this case, we will be starting a trend that I don't think is consistent.
Well, that's why the question, because memory serves me that you're right. In the past, we have approved similar situations like that with Now, correct me if I'm wrong,
When-
the minimum,
When it makes sense, because if you look at all my analysis, I always go the whole block, I count, I look how many of each size. I
Right.
always give you percentages, 30% are already 40 feet lot, 20, but in this case, I can't find.
yeah, you
any more.
consider the surrounding area.
I consider the block and the block
Right,
across the street,
okay.
because that's your street and that's.
And just for the record, the minimum width is 40 foot.
The minimum width is 75. 75 by 100, that is the size of a substandard lot.
But we have built or we have approved 40-foot lots
Yes. but
with
variances.
with,
With
okay.
variance.
So,
Variance to allow the construction of a home in a substandard lot.
okay, so it is not uncommon to see a 40-foot wide lot by so deep
It is not uncommon in areas where, as he
where it
said,
fits.
where they were platted in 40 feet lots, and back then they already built on those 40 feet lots.
Okay. Okay. And the tentative plat was approved for splitting,
the
but,
comment of the planting unit was contingent to the approval of the variance. Because when you see the plat, you see the plat, you don't analyze the whole area.
Right.
When you get to the variance, you get the radius map, you look at everything around.
thank you, that answers my
Sometimes
question.
we are too nice and since we know that the process in the county is long, we try to advance and rush the things, but the reality is they should have come first here and then to the plat.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Just a comment, you have copies of the site plan of the houses, which is the variance before you allowed to build on 40-foot lots. And there's absolutely no other variance. The house fits perfectly on a 40-foot lot, just like the ones that you say that have been built all over the city on similar 40-foot lots. I have not gone specifically to the radius of this property, but I can tell you that even back in 1928, when this was converted to acreage, there were at least 10 houses on 40-foot lot that were left out of the new replat because they already were built in 40-foot lots. I will venture to say that there should be at least more than 10 houses on the immediate neighborhood since 28 to 78 that were built on that area without the required 75 square foot lot. But that's something that I will have to research and bring back to the next hearing.
No, I'm with you on that. I just wanted to clarify the fact that a house such as this is not, now hear me, it's not uncommon on a 40-foot lot. It is not uncommon for us to approve it. However, there seems to be an issue in this little area here.
You have to look at the context.
I know,
Look
I
at
know.
consistency
I know, I
with
know.
the area. Where you live, you probably, is your neighborhood, but your block and what you have across the street, that is what you look at. So if you have homes on large lots, you want to preserve that. You don't want all.
Right. I agree 100%. So right now, as we speak, it is a 80-foot wide lot legally. He is in the process of dividing it or replatting it into two 40-foot, which is in the future. For all we know what's in the future, we don't know yet. One question for you.
Yes.
And for you also. Would it be feasible to build a, I don't know, like, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth on this question, but are you looking for an R1 or possibly an R2, maybe like a duplex or?
R1, because there are 3 properties there that are zoned R2. I don't know how they are zoned R2 because I couldn't find any variance, but they were built as R1.
I do have copies of the ordinance when they were rezoned to R2, and I think that the city, and I don't want to put the question to the law department, will be hard pressed to tell me that I cannot have a duplex next to a similar zone property if it comes to that.
You can come and rezone to duplex and have a.
And I will have to use.
That's what, you see what I'm trying to uncover here, because I understand I understand his intention is to divide the lots and build 2 single-family homes, correct?
Yes, it would be a nicer product.
It
at
would
the
be,
end.
and I agree, I agree. You know, we're always after single-family homes, but now that same 80-foot lot can withstand a duplex or maybe a triplex or something to that
A
effect.
duplex,
A
a very
duplex.
nice duplex. Yes.
Okay, something to think about. And I'm not saying anything, I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I
And if
understand
you
your
build a duplex with one house on the front and one house at the back, it's still consistent because what you will see fronting the street is only one unit.
See, in talking with each other, we can understand that we.
But I'm not encouraging him.
No,
to
no,
argue.
we're just putting it on the table. We're
No,
not.
I
can't
understand,
tell-
Mr. Chairman.
I can't tell you what to do, but I'm throwing a bone at you.
And I knew that since the beginning, and believe me, being me, myself and I rather just
You
have
forgot Irene. Me,
two
myself, and
single-family
Irene.
houses and not trigger the domino effect of more duplexes,
Right.
which I believe that even some of those houses right now are being used as duplexes, and nobody, has done anything
Well,
about it.
I looked
Through the
at
chair.
I always look at the property appraisal because even though they are zoned R1, you see if they have 2 units, and in that whole block and across the street, everything was 1 unit.
Through the chair. Hey, I know the area, and you bring a lot of projects here that we approve, and I like a lot of your projects. This area is really nice, big family homes in this neighborhood. Okay, this is not, far west Hialeah where all these little lots and the houses are right next to each other. These are houses what we want. These are houses that a lot of people aspire to have, and a lot of us wish that we could have these houses instead of these little rinky-dink houses. We eliminate these from our neighborhood, from our city. We're just devaluating our city. We're just putting a duplex there would be the most horrible thing in the world. You might as well just I'd rather you just plot it for 2 houses. A duplex would be just horrible. These are houses that are maybe the house that's there right now is not a nice house, but you could build a beautiful house there in that neighborhood because there's lots of beautiful houses in that neighborhood. I've seen lots of manicured lawns. That's like our last bastion of beautiful homes in this area. We can't, all these houses are plotted as R2s. We should change that immediately and make them R1s. They should nothing there should be an R2 because these houses are really, really nice. This area is really, really nice. Why are we going to destroy it? Let's try to conserve what little bit that we have in our city that's nice instead of, I know everybody's trying to make money and it's all about a business, Frank, and I appreciate a lot of things that you do. And making a duplex out of this would be horrendous. That's my opinion. You might as well just, I don't know, 2 houses. I understand where you're coming from. I don't like that idea in that neighborhood either because you're just building houses like the ones that are by West 68th Street and everything that were little houses right next to each other, little houses, and like they have in Hialeah Gardens, just little houses right next to each other. That looks like a shanty town after a while. And you have a nice neighborhood with big old houses, and you're gonna put 2 little houses right next to each other. It's kind of crappy. It's my opinion. I want to conserve what little bit we have left in Hialeah in our city as a nice house, as a big house, as places where people are going to want to come. People with money are want to come. I understand it's going to be expensive. People say, "Oh, I'm not going to spend that kind of money in Hialeah." Why not? I did. We all should. This is not a bad place to live at, and we got to keep it that way. We want to keep it that way. So let's try to make it a nice neighborhood. Let's keep our city green and beautiful, and keep our big houses. Don't tear them down. Don't put duplexes. Don't put little houses in a neighborhood where it's just full of big houses. I can't. I like a lot of your projects, but I'm going to have to motion to deny because I can't see us destroying another neighborhood.
Before you do that, we need to open the floor for it.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that.
But we'll make a note of that.
I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about keeping a lot of our homes in our city, and I want to have our city have more families come in. I just don't want people that are coming in transient and they just move on. These little apartments, these little houses, everything. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I want my city to be a great city. We're the 5th largest city. Let's act like it.
The only thing, I agree with you, John. The only thing is that we need to consider the fact that there is a replat in the works that has been approved by us already.
Yeah, but contingent to this.
Okay, so there's something in the works, so it may very well come back to have,
Look at the neighborhood and vote with your heart. See what you think of this neighborhood. See if this neighborhood actually, that there's either a duplex or two little small houses in the middle of all these other homes. I'm just saying, if you guys have to be familiar with that area, because I am.
Through the chair. That's actually my old neighborhood, and I moved there since I was 12. And all the houses were large. I had very fond memories. Like, I didn't feel like my neighbors were on top of me.
Yeah.
Now the house that I bought, it's 50 feet
Yep.
frontage, and I feel like the neighbors, they're like watching me, and
Exactly.
it feels uncomfortable. So that neighborhood, it's really nice that they have the large.
You got to
lots.
conserve our neighborhoods that are left like that.
well, that's why I opened it up for discussion because, and again, I repeat, we all want R1s. We all want single-family homes, but there's already something in the work for replatting, and it may very well come back to, we'll have to end up with two smaller lots. Any more comments, questions? You want to rebuttal or?
No, I'm good.
Anyone-
No, I have,
I'm sorry, Frank, but
I understand, Mr. Ulloa, don't worry. It's just that, unfortunately, the dynamics of real estates are
yeah,
such
I get you. But
that you have an old house with a land value of almost $300,000. To replace it, doesn't make sense to replace it with a single-family house that is going to cost you over $250 to build.
no, I have a buddy who has
Because-
a house in that area, and he's got a lakeside, and
Yeah,
he's
well,
got a
the
huge house.
lake
too.
size is something else.
He's got a huge house in that
But,
area. And I'm like, this
At
area
the end of the day, a single-family house there would not appraise because you can ask whatever you want for the house as long as you have a cash buyer, but it would not appraise anywhere upward of 550. So if it doesn't appraise, you don't sell it.
but
And that's
they're
reality.
selling houses at 550 in that area. I've seen them sell.
Huh?
I've seen one sell close to 600. It's right after you pass the park, like a few
That's
blocks in.
ridiculous.
So it's selling at 600, and it was a nice house too, and it was an old house built in the 50s, but they sold it to close to 600. My friend sold it not too long ago.
Thank you all. Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? Is there anyone in the electronic audience that might like to chime in? No? Okay, we'll close the part of the public hearing. At this moment, we do have a standing motion to deny. And now we have a second.
Okay, so motion, Mr. Ulloa, second, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. G. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramon?
So I agree with my fellow board members. That would be denied.
Yes,
So it's yes.
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
to deny.
Oh, yes. Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Item has been denied.
Okay, Frank, do a little bit more homework because I know, we know that you can do it. We know you have the goods. You can make it happen. You're welcome.
Item number 7, special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay for the development of a 27-unit multifamily building. Variance permit to allow only residential uses where mixed use is required. Allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is allowed above ground floor level. Allow 18 residential units with an area of 595 square feet where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area of 600 square feet. Allow 7 feet front setback on East 7th Avenue for encroachment of balconies above the ground floor, where 10 feet built to line are required. Allow 32 parking spaces where 61 parking spaces are required, and allow 29.60% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. property located at 40 East 10th Avenue, Hialeah Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District. Applicant, Java Holding Group, Inc.
Name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Carlos Cardoso, 14125 Northwest 80th Avenue. I'm here representing the architect, Design Tech International, and as well as the owner, Java Holdings.
Thank you, sir.
The property in this application is located at the southwest intersection of East First Street and East 10th Avenue, immediately north of Hialeah Drive. The property is on C2 and is currently improved with a one-story commercial building built in 1961. The property fronts a low-density residential block with R1 and R2 zoning on its north side and an industrial block on its east side. The block where the property is located has commercial land use and C1 and C3 zonings. The south side of the property is adjacent to a gas station. At this time, the applicant is before the city with a proposal to redevelop this corner site with a 3-story multifamily building, including 27 units, 18 one-bedroom units and 9 two-bedroom units, and 32 parking spaces. The proposed building has an L shape and fronts East 10th Avenue and East First Street, with access to the surface parking lot on East First Street. The applicant is also proposing to build 8 parallel on-street parking spaces along its fronts. To be able to develop the site as proposed, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay regulations and the following variances. Allow only residential uses where mixed uses are required. Allow residential use on the ground floor where residential uses are allowed above the ground floor. Allow 18 units with area of 595 square feet where only 3 units, 10% of the units, may have area of less than 600 square feet. Allow 7 feet front setback for encroachment of the balconies above the ground floor where 10 feet built to line are required. Allow 32 parking spaces where 61 parking spaces are required, and allow 29.6% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. The site may be considered a node since it is a commercial block located at the south end of a residential area and adjacent to Hialeah Drive, which is a major east-west corridor, and its location is suitable for higher density at the appropriate scale. The expansion of the neighborhood business district regulations shall be approved because of its location and also because the proposed 3-story building is a proper scale for this site. The single use should also be approved since residential uses are less intense than commercial uses and will preserve the character of the adjacent residential neighborhood to the north. The reduced area of the units responds to market demands and could also be approved. The 3 feet encroachment of the balconies above the ground floor give articulation to the building and should also be approved. The proposal of street parking will provide 1 parking space for each unit and will leave 2 accessible spaces and 2 open spaces within the parking lot for guests or for additional parking spaces for residents who might have a second vehicle. The proposed parking reduction is significant since 7 of the 2-bedroom units will not have parking for a second vehicle. To mitigate this condition, the applicant is proposing to improve East First Street and East 10th Avenue with 8 parking spaces. On-street parking spaces are also available along East 9th Court. Public transportation is available on Hialeah Drive, and proximity to employment also helps diminish the impact of the reduced parking. Accordingly, the parking variance may be approved. The pervious area reduction could also be approved since it is minimal and a drainage system will be provided. Recommendation approved.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Good afternoon. I believe there's just one thing that needs to be corrected on the write-up. It states that the encroachment of the balconies would be on 7th Avenue, and it needs to be revised to 10th Avenue.
We need to re-advertise. Okay, yes. Okay, good.
Excellent.
This property here, this is directly behind that Valero gas station, right?
Yes.
Just to the north of it
Mhm.
and across from the tile depot.
Yes.
So right now, big old parking lot there.
They have a large parking lot and then some office buildings in the area.
Right.
Right by the, right by the tracks, right?
I'm sorry?
It's just west of the tracks. You know what Tile Depot is on Palmer Avenue? On Hialeah Drive and 10th?
Yeah, in the Valero, right there.
The Valero, right? You got the Valero, then you got Tile Depot, then you got like a Shell station or something like that, right before the tracks. Okay. Okay, I'm just double checking it on Google Maps here. But, I mean, my memory, I thought it was right with Valero, starting from Valero, so
A little bit in.
close enough. Anyway, I'm sorry, you can just go ahead and you have the floor. Keep going.
I believe that Ms. Storch covered everything with respect to what we're asking for. I know that the owners of the property have had it for a long time in the state that it's in. I think this is what we're trying to propose here will definitely be a significant change on this site. And the need for residential units, is there. So they're looking forward to the construction and are excited to have this project go forward.
And as I was, I wouldn't say distracted, but as I was multitasking, looking at the actual satellite view here, something did catch my ear as far as the balconies. Now, you're claiming the balconies will be facing 10th Avenue, not the residential side.
Right.
To the
Well,
west.
we have balconies that are going to be facing both, the street frontage at the corner. So yes,
Cool.
it'll be on 10th and on 40th. Or first, I'm sorry.
No, you're right here.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
Are these rental properties or just rental?
Yes, they'll be rental.
Any more comments or questions? Not yet, but not yet, but I take you up on it. Go ahead.
You said the balconies will be facing both the avenue and the street?
Yes,
Yes, the mistake that we made, instead of putting 10th Avenue, we put 7th Avenue. I don't know what we were thinking.
Well, that's why I wanted,
addressing both sides of the
I wanted
street.
to
Facing
clarify.
both, but in one side, he needs the variance, but on the other side, on the side of the houses, he has landscaping there, so it's well buffered. You have it?
That's also buffered by that memorial over there,
No, the memorial is on the other
side of the street.
The
other
park,
side.
you mean the park?
the park, yeah.
No, this is in line with what is happening in the area, because you will block 3 blocks on Hialeah Drive, and you have the Shoma Village that is there. So
Right.
it's a whole renewal
very good
for
for
the
the
area, and that commercial side there is the present.
What's happening to the big old open field out there just to the south of Hialeah Drive?
That is owned by someone out of state.
That's a good sized
And,
property there.
Yeah, remember there was a building that
Yeah,
was
right.
condemned for many years, then they demolished it, and it's someone from out of state. They don't want to sell it, and they wanted to lease the property, the vacant property, but there's so much you can do when
To
you
each his
lease a
own.
property.
Those balconies facing the street, they're not looking into nobody's backyard, correct?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Put it as a condition.
the condition. Anyone in the audience have a comment or question?
Houses around there.
Anyone in the electronic audience have a comment or question? Closes the public hearing. Do we
Motion
have-
to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. You want a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, second by Ramon.
Motion, Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Ramon. Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa? Mr. Ramon?
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Good looking building.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Carlos, pass by that building and look at the color, please. Help me on that. ¿Cuál es esa de la esquina de Palma Avenue? Que es de Prestige, que queda la esquina que está enfrente del Racer. You remember
Palm,
Eran dos
Palm and
terrenos.
23rd?
Yeah, Palma 23rd.
Palm and 23rd.
23rd.
There's like 4 brand new buildings going up there.
Yeah.
One of
but
it,
they painted in a color.
one of them is painted greenish looking, yeah.
Go, please. Take
Palm and
pictures
23rd,
and
yeah.
help me on that. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, Deborah, it did catch my eye on the way here.
I thought, well, maybe it's the primer. That's why I asked.
Oh, maybe it's a
him.
primer,
Maybe
yeah.
it's the primer. I don't know. But you don't do the primer into colors, no?
Yeah.
So,
Listen, I'm not going to make any comments on green paint because I was chastised last time. You know, that I said, something about green paint and I was wearing green, so no more green.
Item number 8, special use permit to allow an adult day training and care center for young people with disabilities ancillary to an existing church and school. Property located at 5800 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, Zone R1, one family district. Applicant, Mayra Sanabria.
Name and address, please.
Mayra Sanabria, 20110 Northwest 59 Court, Hialeah 33015.
Thank you.
the property in this application. Okay. 5-minute break.
Nature calls, 5-minute breaks. Go ahead.
Oh, that's why.
Was that break for you?
This is because we bring the water.
Sorry. Some of them do.
Okay. Let's resume the meeting. You identify yourself, thank you, and she's getting ready to read it into the record, and sorry about that.
The property in this application is a 4.52 acre tract configured as a block bounded by Palm Avenue on the east, West Second Avenue on the west, West 58th Terrace on the north, and West 58th Street on the south. The site is owned by the Baptist Church, originally called Riverside Baptist Church and then North Hialeah Baptist Church since 1952. The site includes a church and a school. The property has low-density residential land use and R1 zoning. A conditional use permit for the school expansion and associated variance has been granted by the city in 2020 through City of Hialeah, Florida Ordinance 2020-039. A related declaration of restrictive covenants was proffered where the applicant committed to build a new parking lot and reconfigured existing parking areas. The parking improvement plan is still in the planning process. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a special use permit to allow the operation of an adult day training and care center for young adults with disabilities. A letter of intent submitted with the application states that 60 participants attend the program and 6 staff members assist them. The participants arrive to the facility in special transportation system vans, and the driver walks them to their classrooms, except for 2 participants that are transported by parents. 12 vans and 4 cars are utilized for this service. Since these 60 participants and 8 staff members were not considered in the special use application, and the significant parking variance issued to the school impact to the parking facilities would be added if the reduced parking facilities to be built for the school are utilized for these added uses. Room exists for the construction of on-street parallel parking spaces along West 58th Terrace to accommodate staff vehicles and short-time parking for the special system transportation vehicles. The approval of the conditional use permit shall be contingent to the construction of at least 20 on-street parking spaces along West 58th Terrace, and the facility shall not be in operation until those parking spaces are built. Recommendation approval contingent to the construction of on-street parking spaces.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
The question is, you said the program cannot operate until we have the parking space?
Exactly. Until you don't build those parking spaces.
And
Because
how-
there is already a church, there is already a school. We gave them a variance. They didn't have it. They need to build a, I don't remember, but it's a 90-car parking. The neighbors in the area came to complain about the parking situation and the drop-off. We cannot put more impact into this because that parking is not built. So the only way to get this to work is to make it independent from that and improve the street along West 58th Street to have there the 20 parking spaces to accommodate the vans that are bringing the
No, I
the
do
applicants.
agree, and we wanted it to do that, and I know it's needed. But my question is, closing the program will not allow me to have the funds to, this was an after school program and came out as a need of the students finishing high school and not having a place to go. So I decided to open this as a ministry with the church and got approved. I didn't know that I needed to have occupational license. It's being operating already
Well,
and
that-
sending 60 kids to the house. I mean, 60 adults, but their mind is that they cannot stay alone. That's why the government send them to these places.
That you will discuss with the licensing department that is operating, if it has a license or not. What I'm telling you is when you get your license and you will, if you come tomorrow and you bring me the license, I will not sign the license
No, no,
because
no,
the
I
parking
do.
spaces are not.
I'm sorry.
What is happening there, you don't need to tell me now. I don't need to know. But when you are ready to come and submit the application, I will make sure that you submitted an application and that these parking spaces are there in place. So whatever you're doing now that I don't know and I don't want to know, you figure out with the license what will
Okay.
happen. But when you come for the application and you need zoning to sign the application, we need to have those spaces in place.
I understand.
To understand this correctly, we're not building anything. We're using the
No,
existing structure.
they are using the existing structures for this program, but since they got a significant variance for the school that has also a number of students, and they proffered that they were going to build the parking. I know here is the pastor. I know they are doing the efforts with the pandemic and everything has been difficult. They are moving towards that, but as now they don't have the parking, and we are adding here this program that I didn't know it exists. Well, let's leave it there. So when this officially comes here and they get the license, those parking spaces need to be there.
And the adult school, it's during the day, while the other
It's an
schools-
adult day training for agency for people with disabilities. It's not an adult daycare, and that's why I don't have an adult daycare license. It is an adult day training, and it's like sending a kid to school so that they take care of them until 3 o'clock that the parents come back home
So it's operating at the same time as the school.
at the same time.
And it's independent from the school. Because if this was the school, they already have a number of kids in the school. You can make an interpretation that this is part of the school, but in reality, it's a different entity.
The one thing you need to be mindful of is when this application came before us a couple years ago or so,
2020.
there were quite a few of the neighbors, affected neighbors, that came in and they voiced their opinion as to their concerns for parking, for noise, for lighting pollution, lights, in the parking.
Flooding.
Debris, garbage and what. You haven't even built it yet, and they were already complaining about that. So again, this is something that here we are 2 years later, and we're back to square one, with the exception that the neighbors are not here. So I just wanted to throw a little, shine a little
I
light on.
do understand what you're saying, but they don't make any noise. We are inside the classroom like any regular school. We don't go outside.
The problem is not the noise, it's the cars.
The cars, but the cars come only at 9 o'clock to drop the student, and they come in 12. How many vans are going to be there? 12 students by a van. A special transportation system, they go in the shoulder of the church, not the neighbors. They don't go across the street. They don't park in the middle of the street. They just come in to the shoulder of the entrance of the gate, and they drop the students there. They go inside, and the van leave, and nobody else comes in the building until 3 o'clock for the same operation.
I'm with you.
I mean, I'm listening to that, but I'm saying we don't take any of the neighbors'
I understand. I understand what you're saying. I see your point of view, but I also see the impact that the neighbors are concerned with. Again,
I understand.
and it's something that needs to be brought up so that you can be mindful of it. So that, because.
And also what you call the shore, we call the swale
swale.
area, and the swale area is supposed to be landscape. And what happens when cars use it for parking, it gets eroded, and then the soil becomes very compact, and that causes flooding. So, and that is what happened at the school and the church. So to avoid that, we need that to be, there is space there. You are lucky that you have space. So we need that to be developed as on-street parking, and there you have the parking, and there's no
20
problem.
parking spaces, you said?
20 because you have the 12 vans and the 8 teachers. So that's,
We're not saying that you can't have that operation.
They should paint
Saying that
this building,
you need to
Right.
step, you need to, get on the ball.
Yeah, that's terrible.
we are looking at areas
Yeah, it
and,
looks terrible.
and we can see that it looks bad and it's already eroded because of that, because cars park there.
Yeah, this building looks horrible. It's affecting the neighborhood. It brings down the property values for everybody. not just, I understand you're trying to help
Well,
sick kids and everything, but we have to take it
You know, you have the street,
into
you
account
have the
what
grassy
everybody
area,
in the
then you have
neighborhood is
sidewalk.
affected by this.
That's a
You know,
swale.
it's, I understand you want to help kids.
No.
But, you know, the guy across the street
No, no,
wants to have a
they'll put
nice
like the parking
house
spaces inside
and not have
rather
to look
than-
at that soil area that you're looking at right there.
Come here
And
and
maybe
show
you
you
should
here in Google.
consider painting the
Got it on
building
Google over
too.
there.
I'm sorry?
You should consider painting the building because it looks awful.
Their
We
property
did
ends
paint
here.
all
It
that
ends
area new.
before the.
You painted it
sidewalk.
already?
So
Because I'm looking
all
at
this
pictures
space
on Google
that
Maps.
they are
It looks,
using to park the car is
looks really bad.
city space,
We
and it's
painted
the soil
the-
area
the-
that
that
is
side of
supposed
the
to be
building.
green and
On
with
the- on the
trees and
58
landscaping.
Terrace.
But
I
by
don't know if
parking
It
the
doesn't look like
cars,
that anymore,
been
okay.
you see what happens. It's all eroded. So what they need to do is to build here like parallel parking spaces.
Like
So
here,
that-
here, in the
here,
swale?
yeah,
Yeah.
but build them with asphalt and mark and everything, so the cars will come and will
So it's the
park
same
there.
thing, but beautiful.
Well, it's the same thing, but built for that purpose.
and there's no sidewalk there. Shouldn't be some.
Yeah, there
type
is
of-
there is a sidewalk.
I'm looking at this right on the Google Maps. There's not a show.
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
sidewalk.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does have a sidewalk.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
just
there-
it's
there
just
is.
compacted with the
Yeah.
dirt and everything. Yeah.
And
Yeah, this has to
their
be-
property ends where the sidewalk starts. So you can see that all that soil area is right of way that they are using for parking. We don't have any inconvenience
that's-
because there is space, but needs to be improved to be used for
Yeah.
that purpose.
Totally agree with that.
That's the idea.
We will take care of it.
Yeah, this really needs to be taken care of. It looks horrible.
Up here?
Can I make a suggestion through the chair?
Yeah.
Please do.
Would you like to table this and give yourself a little bit more time? Maybe you could get things.
Well, I spoke with the pastor last week, and he told me that he was willing to do those on-street parking
I
spaces.
did say I was
That you-
willing to.
okay.
As a matter of fact, even before I presented for the license or anything, I have gone to the zoning, the office back there by
Streets department.
the
The
I'm
streets
sorry.
department. Yeah, yeah. They are
I
the,
went there and I asked because of the garbage, the tank, and I did request to, if we could move it and do a parking space there.
yeah.
I asked a
And they-
question because I wanted it to do. I mean, I
Well, they
know the
say
need.
yes, and also that dumpster enclosure cannot remain there, and if it needs to be on this side, you will need to build an enclosure for that.
But I wanted it to do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, okay.
It's needed and,
So-
and it's
so
also,
If you
More-
agree, and if they approve the special
I
use
agree.
permit, then you have to have an engineer, draw the plans, go to the streets department, to the building department, get your approval, and get this going.
Does she need more time or is she good to go?
She's saying that she's willing. She already
Okay.
went to the streets department, so
Alright.
she agrees with the condition.
I just want you to be mindful of the impact and the opinion of the surrounding neighbors. They're not here tonight, but they were here last time, and they were adamant of their, should we say, future concerns. And that's, they are directly impacted by what you do. So we do need to be mindful of that. Would you like to? Okay. Step up, please. And is there any more comments or questions? John, do you have any?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Name and address, please.
Dan Ramos, 5855 West Second Avenue, Hialeah. I'm the pastor of the church
Right.
she's at. First, I want to tell you that most of the concerns of the neighbors have been taken care of. The flooding on 58th Street is no longer there. Everything's been taken care of. The landscaping there, not on 58th Terrace. I'll get to that in a minute. But on 58th Street, that's been taken care of with the help of the street departments. They helped us out quite a bit. With the 58 Terrace, it's a mess, but we don't park there. The neighbors do.
There's a lot of, I'm looking
Yeah.
at cars parked there right now.
Yeah, but they're not our cars. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Most of the neighbors, I don't want to be a tattletale, but there are businesses going on across the street and you got cars
Well, just
stacked up there.
put tow away signs and
Yeah.
get with a towing company, and if you're not approved, tell them.
But that's a swell. I can't do that. That's city property.
No,
Yeah, that's the street. Yeah.
I can't do that. But I did go to the streets department. I took the plans. And I spoke to Ms. Storch about this about 2 weeks ago. I went there about, I would say close to a month. I gave them the plans that we wanted to put asphalt on that whole area, at the swale. I put parking there. and fix it up nice. I'm still waiting for an answer. They said it'd be no problem, but I'm still waiting for an answer
I
from
will
that.
talk to them. They will say,
Uh,
yes, yeah, you will have to improve under the
Yeah.
standards that they will tell you that you have
You
to
probably have to
improve.
do some
It's not
drainage
just
too.
throwing asphalt.
Yeah, but we,
you
you know,
will
I've been
permit.
waiting for an answer. The reason why, and I just bear with me, the church lives off the donations.
Right.
COVID killed us.
Yeah.
Besides that, I don't know what the problem is, but nobody wants to work. We've called contractors and nobody even wants to come and give us a bid on building the parking lot. We got one bid for $200,000. We don't have that kind of money. COVID has hurt, but we found another, I guess I got it approved from the zoning so we're ready to make a loan and we'll build that, paint the building to make it happen. Paint the entire building, do all the landscaping, all that's in the process as we speak. What's killed us is COVID. COVID killed us, and we do the best we can. But the concerns of the people the accountant that was really frustrated, you think back, we're good friends. His wife walks around the block every day. You know, everything is, with the neighbors, everything is good, as far as I know. And then, you know, they come by and everything is good. The concerns of the flooding, that's been taken care of. The parking, that part's been taken care of. So we're in the process of getting bids to even change the fencing, that's ugly fence that's been there. I've been there almost 20 years. That fence has been there before me. So we got to change the fence. There's a lot we got to do. And we're planning on doing it alone and doing it all at one shot. That's in the process that we're in right now.
Well, be mindful that, like I was telling the young lady here, says, I'm just bringing up to light the concerns of the neighbors. Obviously, we don't know whether or not those concerns have been addressed. We're going to take your word for it that they have
I'm sure
been,
that you're always
but-
going to have one or two.
Of course.
You're never going to make everybody
Of course.
happy. That's, you know.
But I just, it's something that I needed to make sure that it was in the record, that there were some concerns. You've addressed them. Congratulations.
We're working on it.
That's,
Believe me, we want to make, they're building so much in Hialeah, with the Salvation Army, the West Fourth, all the new construction.
right.
We've talked about that. And so before they finish that, which is almost done, we want to paint the building, do everything in our building. Because we want to be, how would I say that? I want to market, but we want to use, point the people to the church and have it presentable. So our goal is before they finish that, we want to finish everything, the parking lot and everything.
There's nothing wrong with owning the market.
Yeah, I know, but I got to be careful the words that I use,
On the streets department approval, I know they also lost one employee, and they are two people doing a lot of work. So I will talk to them. And they have delays probably. So I will talk to them, and I know
Okay.
that will say yes because I looked at the size of the road, and
We
I think
want to
there
fix all
should
of
be
that. That's an
approval.
eyesore. That
Okay,
part
yeah.
is an
Yeah,
eyesore.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
nice.
It's an
How many
eyesore.
members in your church?
Believe it or not, we're in Hialeah. The Spanish has about 30 to 35. The English has about 100 and something.
Really?
Ah.
You guys ever thought about doing maybe one of those cookout days that all the members of the church come together and
If we do that,
paint the
They
the
do
church?
that. The
no,
neighbor
I will
said
have them paint me.
You buy paint, with and just everybody get some brushes and volunteer work and paint the building.
Yeah, we
See
did that
somebody doing
once,
that.
but when you see how some of them paint, I don't think that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
idea.
paint it well, and
I'm gonna-
don't paint it green, please.
Okay, I know that this is a public forum and it's being broadcasted live. I'm gonna throw a bone at you. Okay, and I'm not saying that they're gonna step up. But Comcast, okay, I mean, I worked for them for 35 years, and every year they picked one or two entities of need, like yourself, nonprofit, locations like that, and they would dedicate one day, and it will be, they call it Comcast Cares Day. And I don't know if is it legal for me to say?
Yeah, sure, you can talk to him about that, and if you can get him a phone number, because I have Comcast, I can never get a hold of anybody.
Well,
So-
well, listen, I'm just letting you know that for 35 years that I worked for them, every single year, it took them a few months to coordinate it, but they would pick an entity in need, typically a nonprofit entity, Salvation Army, a city entity, a county, a church, schools, what have you, and they will get all the employees together, and they would dedicate one day for painting, gardening, refurbishing.
That's an idea.
Hey, what do you have to lose? Give them a call. And for the most part, they provided all the, all the materials and the labor. I mean, like,
I'll take that bone. I'll call them.
hey,
All they can say is no.
just remember Comcast Cares days. And enough of the, enough of the public service. Yes. Come into the microphone.
When we have the parking lots done, do I need to come back here? What do I do?
No. Well, they will vote and probably they will approve you with the condition that I suggested. So if they approve you with that condition, then as soon as you have these approved, you have your architect do your plans, you submit them to the streets department, then to the building department, and when you have the plans approved, you build.
Okay, now that we've,
Yes, I don't know how it's functioning without license, so I don't want to elaborate into that. So I would defer.
I do have
I
a
will-
license. From ACA. I do have a license.
Yeah, but not from the city, so I would defer that to the licensing department and you will have to talk to them.
any comments or questions from the board? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. What was your suggestion?
To approve with the condition that 20 parking spaces be built on the street.
Okay, can we get a motion, please?
Second that motion.
Motion to
Okay,
approve.
Motion, Mr. Ramon, second, Mr. Iglesias. Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mrs. Henriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Ramon?
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Now, you can use my name, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Okay? Put it this way, it's like going to Starbucks. With my name and $7, you can get a cup of coffee. Yeah, so, but no, for real, they do that. It's charity work and it helps. And it,
Bye, have a
Good night.
good night. You still need to come for the council meeting on
April 26th.
April 26th. Yeah, you will have to the first reading and then you will come to the second reading. But meanwhile, start working with your engineer on preparing the plans. Okay. Bye.
good night.
Item number 9, ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, amending chapter 98 and entitled zoning, article 5, zoning district regulations, division 16, entitled C2, liberal retail commercial district, section 98-1112, entitled uses prohibited, removing open air markets as a prohibited activity, repealing all ordinances or parts of the ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violations hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Well, probably you remember that a couple of meetings ago, we approved farmer markets in certain locations. And then we were going through the code for different things, and we realized that there was a conflict with the uses prohibited on C2. So this is just a little correction to make both things consistent. What we're doing is just deleting open air market as a prohibited use in C2. Some meetings ago, we approved an ordinance for the farmer market. They're going to be allowed. So we created that ordinance to allow them, but then we were working with the code and we realized, hey, we created that ordinance allowing that, and here in C2 it says that it's prohibited. So to make everything consistent, we are amending this to eliminate that conflict.
Comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Iglesias, second, Mr. Ramon. Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa? Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Gamon?
Yes.
Item has been approved. Miscellaneous items not requiring advertising. Item number 10, old business? No old business. Item number 11, new business.
Okay, on the new business, it's that time of year, we have to open the elections for chairman, so we need someone to nominate a chairman.
Can I
Right
make
here?
a comment?
Before you nominate for the new members, the chairman conducts the meeting as Mr. Perez does. And when he's absent, that rarely happens, the vice chair
president will-
is the one that.
Correct.
Takes that.
Okay. I
Okay,
would
so
like,
can we get a nomination?
yes, sir. I would like to nominate my fellow gentleman right
For
here.
chairman?
Yes. For
Okay.
vice.
No,
Yeah, but
chairman
we're chairman
first.
right
Oh,
Chairman
chairman.
first.
Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Diego Perez.
Okay,
I
we
think
have a
he's well
nomination.
deserved. He's owned that, he earned that position very good.
How many years? How many years?
I've been here since 95, but not as a chairman. Not, too long. Can we get a second?
But in the board since 1995.
Since 95.
I'll second that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so motion, Mr. Iglesias, second, Mr. Ulloa. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Gamon?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
I will do my best to keep it above water and legal, and
I will hope
Always.
so.
I always rely on my source of information there, legal information, and my source of, so very, very reliable sources. Okay, so moving on. It is also time to nominate a vice chair. So can we nominate someone, please?
Yes. I would like to nominate my fellow coworker right here.
Who's right here?
Lazaro Gamon.
Okay,
I would
because
say.
I know, because I don't,
I am sorry,
I-
Mr. Lazaro,
okay, I don't know anyone named right here. So,
Humble feelings.
Mr. Lazaro,
Thank you.
and
okay.
very involved
Can
in
we
the city,
get-
so
Can we nominate more than one person?
Well, we nominate one person at a time, and then if we have a second, we do a vote, and based on the outcome of the vote, we can nominate someone else.
Okay, so,
Right or wrong?
okay, we have a motion.
We
by
have a
Mr.
motion.
Iglesias.
We have a motion for a nomination. We need a second. We have a motion. We need a second, going twice. We have a motion. We need a second, going 3 times.
can you vote, sir?
I can't.
You can't?
I can't, right? Okay.
Can, excuse me? Shouldn't we make it for a special date or something because Mr. Casanova is not here? And I think it should be fair for him to vote. I mean, the opinion should be there. I mean, I don't know if I'm
in your
allowed to
dis-
say
It's in
that.
your discretion. So if
I
you
think we have a
want,
quorum. I think we should
if you
continue.
want to delay it, you'd need a vote on it.
It's, okay. At this point, the motion has failed for lack of second. Now, we can table this particular item until next meeting when we have a 7th board member. We can do that if you all so wish. And by doing that, you will need to motion and second and then get it voted in.
Well, I would like to motion to have it for next meeting if it's possible and you guys agree. Give Mr. Casanova the opportunity to have the chance to vote on it.
Or be nominated, or whatever. Again, you have the power to make that.
And that is my opinion.
And you're absolutely.
So,
I
you
mean,
guys
we
decide.
have six, like John says, we do have a quorum, but we don't have a full board. Again, it's on your shoulders. You guys make.
Any way we can get them on the phone and get it over with? Is it possible, Mr.?
He's got to be present.
Okay.
He's got to be present.
No
Sorry
vote-
about that,
No
Dennis.
voting by proxy.
I am so sorry.
No,
No
it's
Zoom
fine.
meeting.
You need a second if you have one. Get a
I second that.
So motion, Mr. Iglesias, second, Mr. Ramon. Mr. D,
To table.
yes. Mr. D. Perez,
Sure.
Mr. Ramon,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
No.
Mrs. Enriquez? No. Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez? Okay, we got a tie.
Motion fails.
No,
Motion fails. Yeah.
motion fails.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Ulloa.
All right, hold on, I need more paper.
Okay, we have a
We have a
nomination.
motion
We have a
by
motion and a
Mrs.
nomination.
Enriquez.
Yes.
I need a second. Second, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. D. Perez?
Based on the fact that that we would like to have a full board, I would say no.
Mr. Ramon?
No.
Mr. Iglesias?
No.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez? Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Motion failed.
I think.
We either nominate someone else or we can defer the item.
Can we?
I'll concede and I would like to nominate Lazaro Guzman.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Ulloa, second by Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Ramon?
That's for you, bro.
It's for you.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay, he said Guzman. I'm looking at.
Ramon, I'm sorry. Mr. Lazaro.
Yeah, I looked- I was like-
me off there.
Sorry,
I'm like,
I even looked, I was like, okay, Guzman. We got a Guzman. Yes?
Mr. Iglesias?
yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
No.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Ramon.
It's a humble feeling.
That was difficult.
Next time we wrestle in the parking lot for it, okay?
Okay, well, that being said, congratulations and thank you. And is there anything else that we want to add? No? Meeting's adjourned.